I remember the first time I saw Elijah. It was in the heart of the city, a night choked with smoke and sirens. He stood in the ruins of a burnt-out building. They called him the prophet of fire, but nobody knew why he was there, and nobody could walk away the same. The sky was dark. Ash fell like snow. My heart pounded in my ears. I stood on crumbling pavement. Smoke curled. Sirens wailed in the distance, and there he was, Elijah's silhouette against Flame's eyes. Alive, he lifted a hand. Flame danced off his palm. I gasped. "Who are you?" I whispered. He didn't answer. Instead, he let the fire rise. A torch born from nothing. He dropped it into a pool of oil. The scream was deafening. Buildings shook. I stumbled back. He turned, looked at me. A single tear traced soot across his cheek. "Do you believe?" he asked softly, his voice low, uncertain, a tremor in the ash. My throat closed. I couldn't speak. Something in me changed. A moment later, the flames vanished, just ember and dark. He walked away, silent. I stood there alone, heart racing, wondering. Fear inside me that moment hooked me, pulled me in. I had to know more. I had found him days later, in a sheltered dark corridor, flames still in his eyes. He sat by a steel drum fire. Children, huddled, scars on their faces, hope growing in their hearts. I approached slowly. He looked up. An old scar traced his jaw. I asked. Simple, heavy. He paused, held the children's hands, rocked them gently. "Fire burns," he said, "but it also warms." I swallowed. "What happened?" He stared into the flame. "Everything burned," he whispered, "because it must burn." I felt bile rise. "Because what? You decide who deserves warmth." He shook his head. "No, the world decides." I sat beside him. Ash stuck to my coat. Wind carried distant screams. "Tell me." I pressed my voice. "People trust me. The world needs answers." He stared. "Do you?" he asked. "Trust you?" My pulse throbbed. "Sometimes," I admitted. "Eyes on the children, they need more than words." He narrowed his eyes. "Then watch." He stood, kicked dirt into the fire. Flames roared. Reflected in his gaze, "Fire reveals truth," he said. "Truth burns until only steel remains." I swallowed hard. "Is that what you want?" He looked at me, not angry, but tired. "Real change hurts." I remembered voices, protests, riots, buildings falling, lives at stake. I felt anger rise, fear, empathy. Double quotes, "Then guide us." I whispered. Paused. Rain began. Damp and sudden. He held up his hands. "Listen, first." Kids watched. Shelter trembled. "Ask who holds flame within them." He looked at me. "Not who lit the fire, who survived it." Silence. Hammering rain. Sirens nearer. "Show me," I said. "Teach me." He nodded slowly. The conflict opened. Lines drawn between fear and hope. Destruction and rebirth. We walked through the city. Days passed. Each step a lesson. He never raised his voice, never gave commands. He told stories of towers built too high, of children crushed under systems, of people who screamed, and no one listened. "Fire doesn't choose sides," he said, "it just reveals." I watched him confront a mayor in his office, face to face. "You speak of order," Elijah said, "but do you hear the ones begging for air?" The mayor laughed, dismissed him. Then Elijah lit a match, held it in his palm, didn't burn. "Ordered without justice is smoke," he said. The mayor froze. A week later, the city's housing board reversed 12 evictions. Elijah didn't smile. He just moved on. His legend grew. People followed. Not out of fear, out of memory. He spoke in forgotten neighborhoods. Held vigils for the voiceless. Lit flames not to destroy, but to remember. But not everyone believed. They called him dangerous. A threat. Terrorist. Radical. He walked the streets. "Anyway, you're making people afraid," I told him once. He looked at me. Calm. "They should be." The fire turned real one night, a protest, peaceful but on edge. Police in armor, crowds chanting, and then a bottle thrown. Glass shattered, flames. Screams. Screams. Elijah walked straight into the chaos. I followed. He raised his hands, and the fire pulled back like it obeyed. I swear it. The flames danced around him, like they knew. He stood in the center. "Look," he shouted. "Not in rage and pain, is this peace. Rubber bullets, gas, flames in children's eyes." Tears streamed down his face. "Do not worship silence," he said. "Worship justice." The crowd stilled. Police froze. Everything was quiet. For just a moment, then someone fired. A rubber round hit a boy 12 years old. Elijah ran to him, scooped him into his arms. Screamed, not in words, in grief. Fire burst from the street. Concrete cracked. People scattered. Not in fear and sorrow. I saw him kneel. Rock the boy and whisper, "You are not forgotten." I visited him in hiding. After that night, he vanished, but I found him. In an old church basement. Alone. Hands burned, eyes hollow. I failed. He whispered. "No," I said. "They're listening now." He shook his head. "They want a prophet, not the fire." I sat with him. Silent, then asked the question I'd feared for months. "Are you real?" He looked at me. I am. Pause. But I don't want to be. One final time. He rose, walked to the city center. Crowds followed. Quiet. Rain falling. He stood at the fountain, lifted a single candle. This is not a war, he said. This is memory. He held the flame high. Every system built on ash will fall. Not by my hand, but by yours. He dropped the candle into the water. Steam rose and he disappeared. No one knows where Elijah is now. Some say he died. Some say he burned himself away. Others that he walks still. But I believe he waits not for a sign, for a spark, and one day when the sky cracks, and voices rise, and silence ends, we'll see fire again. Not to destroy, but to light the way.